Welcome to Talking Giants presented by DraftKings. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. And I'm just trying to be like my hero, Eli. We got our mailbag. Some really good questions in mailbag. I mean, I think this mailbag is going to be very substance-filled. Justin, how are you?
That's a word. I think the word you were looking
It's
for
sustenance,
is...
not substance.
I think
Sustenance.
it's I don't even know.
Sustenance.
What
What do you think about Eli double birding on TV? That was hilarious.
And then me. I think we're going to get demonetized right off the bank. That's my take. I find it to be the most Eli Manning thing that he did not know that was inappropriate for television.
Come on, Eli. How could you? I mean, it was great TV. But how could you not know?
And they probably told him, you have to apologize. You that was not cool. But he was like, well, a 9-year-old gave it to me in the city of Philadelphia, so that's why I thought it was okay.
You could tell that Peyton and Chris Long were just having the time of their life when Eli was apologizing. Yeah, you can't double bird the TV.
And also something about you. You're showing some skin. You got a tank top on right now, which you live in Florida. Don't know why I haven't seen you wear tank tops in the past. This is what the world needs and the Talking Giants community needs right now. We need to see some Bobby Skinner skin. I'm so happy you're doing this.
Well, I don't know. I took, usually it's either first thing in the morning or late at night, right before we record shower. I took a midday shower today. And you know what? I'm not even going to share why. Maybe we'll tell Patreon afterwards. And speaking of Patreon, I'd love to double bird all of them. New Patreon members, we have Aaron Harrigan, Tyler Troutman. Me and my grandpa, we used to go fishing for trout. He loved trout, and he's dead now. Aiden Murnane. We got Blair Stewart. He is the steward of men. Nikki Baselli. That dude's Italian as all can be. Alan Goldstein. Yep, that's a name. Brandon Slaughter.
That may not be a name.
This has been Slaughter. James Conrad with a K. We got Jack Lombardo, who unfortunately is related to Matt Lombardo. Sorry about your family, Jack. Billy Lyons. He don't be lying. And we have Justin Pennis as our... who are these people, Justin?
I don't
Pennick.
think it's penis. I think it's actually just penis. If I saw the name correctly.
Don't say nasty words on live TV.
You gave us double bird to start off the show. So, if you want to see Bobby Skinner's shoulders and wearing a tank top, you better go to patreon.com/talkinggiants. And for $2 a month and some other tiers you want to support too, you get to hang out with us while we record the shows live. You get to possibly win some Talking Giants shirts off the Talking Giants store. However, by the time the end of the year comes, we may have to take down some of those shirts and burn some of these shirts. I mean, hog mollies? What? Don't get that shirt. Get the Eli shirts. Patreon.com/talkinggiants. Become a patron. Great community. Thank you to our patrons.
All right. Everything we want to talk about is kind of in the mailbag. So take it away, Steve from Blue's Clues.
Mail time. The mail's here. Come on. Bye, guys. Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
All right, thanks, Steve from Blue's Clues. Justin, let's get into the mail.
First question is coming from Patrick Castro at Ecuadorian04. Would promoting Freddie Kitchens to offensive coordinator improve our offense enough for us to start winning games? And then also, paired with that, AJ Austin at Starvin_art. Hypothetically, if Garrett gets the boot in the next few weeks, who do you think takes over play calling? Is it automatically Freddie Kitchens?
So it would be Freddie. I mean, that would only make sense. Russ Callaway is a quality control guy. He's the only new guy who could maybe be in there. Rob Sale was an offensive coordinator at University of Louisiana, but he wasn't calling the plays. But it'd be it would be Kitchens. Kitchens is kind of in that assistant offensive coordinator role, so it would be Kitchens. And I think it would truly make the offense better. And one reason is Jason Garrett runs the worst offense in the entire NFL. But I've pointed back to this when Freddie Kitchens was the play caller for a game. Same playbook as Jason Garrett, but just he's calling the plays now. Jason Garrett's not. Versus the Cleveland Browns with a backup QB and Colt McCoy. I chart my routes, plays with that have routes of 15+ yards and plays that have 1 or less. Deep concepts versus short concepts. Not the most perfect thing, but it's a good tell of your offense. With Colt McCoy, the deep concepts, 11 for 15, 128 yards, 8.5 yards per attempt. That is the second most deep concepts in the Jason Garrett era, only to Washington week 2 and then Baltimore week 16. Those are the only 2 times, and those were by 1 attempt, and that was with Colt McCoy on Sunday Night Football, and on the shorter concepts, 8 for 16. So in that game, they moved the ball well with Colt McCoy, their QB. They couldn't finish, but they got the ball downfield. They got into opposing territory on the first 4 drives of the game. They only had 6. They got into the red zone on the first 3 drives. They just couldn't convert. Like, that is where not having the players can matter. And, obviously Joe Judge went for it on 2 4th downs, the fake field goal, and then a 4th and 2 run that they didn't get with Wayne Gallman. So it absolutely would make it better. Here is my big but, though, Justin. We're 0-3, and that's why this should have happened on January 4th.
Yep.
That's why bringing this guy back was a huge mistake, because these first 3 games were super important to win some games, be 2-1 or whatever. These were big games. This schedule gets really tough going forward here. So making the change, it would help. But you're not learning a new system. You're just dealing with a new play caller, but there would be differences. And it would be a mess. Now, it would be better, but it wouldn't be as fluent as they just did on January 4th. So I want them to do it, but I don't think it changes the trajectory of the season too much, because we play some really, really good teams going forward. Yeah. So maybe it adds a win or 2, but I don't think it puts us in the playoffs. Whereas if they made some type of change at January 4th, and I'm not even saying Freddie Kitchens would be a great OC. Like, Freddie Kitchens would have not have been the top of my OC list.
No.
But it's kind of too late to matter that much, and it's frustrating.
Yep. I made a video mid-December of 2020, and now we were talking about this Jason Garrett problem probably since this time last year. Like, it was around this time last year where we're looking at ourselves and we're like, this isn't who Daniel Jones is, and they're not scoring points, and they're not moving the ball at all, and they're not creating explosive plays. So it's around this time last year that we were one of the ones to start asking questions about Jason Garrett when not a lot of other people were. It was just the line, Andrew Thomas, Daniel Jones turnovers, blah, 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 and the same boring talking points that I think now everybody realizes are kind of bad. But I made a video in December, and I said, and I asked, does a number 1 wide receiver really fix the issues of this offense? And at the time, it was Allen Robinson. Does a guy like Allen Robinson or Kenny Golladay, we did actually sign him, does a guy like Kenny Golladay fix the issues of this offense? And no, it doesn't. It doesn't fix yards after the catch. The only thing that Kenny Golladay realistically fixed is the ability to create explosive plays. And the way that you create explosive plays with Kenny Golladay is contested catches, and they haven't even done that. They haven't even given Kenny Golladay an opportunity. Bobby, you tweeted this out today about how many times they've given Kenny Golladay like a deep concept and a deep opportunity to catch the ball. What has it been, 3 times this year in 3 games?
3 times, and one was a 4th and 10 red zone garbage time versus Denver.
So the personnel which we were preached, and that was the excuse last year. It was the excuse amongst the fan base, and I think it was the excuse amongst the management and coaching. We didn't have the personnel. Over the offseason, they got the personnel. Their left tackle got better, and it's helped the quarterback. And now management and coaching, they look inept because they improved so much at the skill position spot. They got a Saquon Barkley back, and they look inept because, if anything, it's gotten worse, and record-wise, it's not even better.
And Daniel Jones looks like a lot better of a QB. Like, continuity does help. That was really the only thing that we could say that was good for bringing back Garrett's continuity. But that's not a reason to bring someone back.
Well, 0-3.
So it's yeah. So Jones has looked better, and part of that is being in the same system. But it's okay, he looks better, and they're still not scoring points, which was always our issue. It's like, well, we're lowest in the act because these routes, they don't play off of each other. They don't give you any separation. Sterling Shepard shouldn't be leading the league in contested catches and have horrible separation numbers. That should be questioned. And, I think the most hope we had for Jason Garrett was not after free agency, because after free agency, they signed Kyle Rudolph, Kenny Galladay, and we're kind of like, okay, we still don't believe in Jason Garrett, but better players will make the offense better. When they drafted Kadarius Toney, we're like, oh, this signals change, because Kadarius Toney might be the worst fit in the entire NFL draft for the Jason Garrett offense, So we're like, this signals change. They're going to use this guy. And now they didn't make any changes, and that's why when Colin Johnson comes in and plays 10 less reps than Kadarius Toney, he has 5 more targets or 4 more targets. Colin Johnson didn't spend camp with this team. He wasn't even active the first 2 games. Yeah. That's why. Because Kadarius Toney is a horrible fit in this offense. He's like, the way they're running it, I wouldn't have thrown the ball to him if I was Daniel Jones either. And one was the design screen, the in route that he converted on 3rd down, and then that curl, which was Daniel Jones' worst throw of the game. That wasn't Kadarius Toney's fault, but it was Jones' worst throw of the game. Like, he is the worst possible fit for this offense. There's wide receivers that I liked less than Kadarius Toney, who I'd been like, I'd rather have him in this offense than Kadarius Toney. I'd rather have Dwayne Eskridge in this offense than Kadarius Toney.
But I'm not even going to put that on Kadarius Toney, though.
It's not Toney's fault. It's not. Toney should be used differently. And they're just like, nope, here you go. You just line up and play wide receiver. And it's like, well, we always knew he wasn't a De'Ami Brown, Terrace Marshall, Rashad Bateman, just line up and play wide receiver, or Elijah Moore. Yeah. He was never that. So it's like, why are you using him like that?
Yeah.
So that's why he's not getting reps. Is because he doesn't fit in this offense. He's not a good fit in this offense.
Yeah, but it's so simple to do the things that they did with him it was back-to-back plays. It was back-to-back plays where you got a little bit of slimmer of separation in the middle of the field and the intermediate part of the field, and Kadarius Toney breaks the tackle on 3rd down. He willed yards after the catch, and he moved the chains, and then the next play, you do like Daniel Jones rolls out, throws a screen to the opposite side of the field, and it wasn't like a great play. I find that no matter what quarterback we have, whether it's Eli Jones or whoever, screenplays take so much longer to set up when we're the Giants compared to other teams around the National Football League. But still, Kadarius Toney got 7 yards on a 1st down, and I've been saying it all year. Like, that's like an extension of the running game. That's how Kadarius Toney should be used. And the fact that we don't have a running game, and then we don't do that, we'll do it once a game, and we'll be like, we're good. Kadarius Toney makes a nice 4 or 5 yard play on 1st down when Saquon Barkley averages 3 yards per carry on 1st down. It's like, I know, we're good. We'll just continue to do that and, not do anything running the ball, and we'll just ignore this great, talented player who can do great things with the ball in his hands after the catch. So we'll just ignore that. So again, to come back, and then we'll move on to the next question because we have more offensive questions.
Well, back to that question is why when in the offseason, when people are like, well, Jason Garrett will have a short leash, if they'll fire him if
this is the short good. Leash. You're 0-3.
Yeah, and it was like, 1, I don't agree with you. I think you're wrong. But 2, it's like, that is so stupid. Why would you bring someone back who you have it made me want to shoot myself every time someone well, so you're saying that if the season's over, we'll fire him. Awesome. Yeah. And Daniel Jones' 3rd year. Great. That's just fantastic. All right, next questions.
Yeah. I was going to end it off in saying that the time to have the conversation was January, which we did. All right, so next question is coming from Eric Vescuso. Got a couple questions here. So we heard Judge.
Oh, can I say this for the mailbag? A disclaimer. From now on, we are only answering mailbag questions that are replies to the tweets. I know you don't all have Twitter, but you couldn't create a Twitter account and just follow Talking Giants and reply, because it's so hard for us to go to the Patreon messages, Instagram messages, DMs. If not, because I'm trying, it's early on the season, but and we got rid of our voicemail line, and Eric's been calling voicemails. Eric in Naples, like Eric's our guy, so I did make an exception for him. Mailbag questions have to be replied to the Twitter because it's Tuesday is literally our busy Tuesday. Monday is like I have no time to be checking up on things, and I just need that 2 hours of prep beforehand to put everything together, and I can't be chasing down mailbag questions.
Yeah, Bobby's got O-line report, Bobby's got film review, and then I'm putting together stuff and graphics for the stats report. So make a Twitter, support us. That's where we put most of our stuff anyway. It's going to help you more than it's going to help us.
Yeah, the best place
Twitter,
to follow us is Twitter anyways.
Yeah, really is. Because even some of the stuff that we don't even get to on the podcast, it goes on our Twitters. So, we heard from Judge, and this is from Eric. We heard from Judge that he isn't taking play calling away from Garrett. Do you guys actually think he believes in Garrett, or is he powerless in this situation? And then also we have Ben Butler asked, I think it was mentioned at the start of the season but how worried should we be that Judge has an influence over the offense, and that's the reason we haven't seen any changes yet? And then lastly, AJ Indovina, I don't see a scenario in which we can fire the GM and OC, but keep a head coach that all have the same conservative old school mentality. I like Judge and think of the three, he is the most likely to change his approach. Do you guys see a realistic scenario where Judge stays and Dave Gettleman and Jason Garrett go? So here's the bottom line. Joe Judge, is he powerless in kind of dealing with Jason Garrett? Do we think he sides with that conservative mindset? And do we see a scenario where Judge stays and Dave Gettleman and Jason Garrett go? Those two questions.
Basically, how much does Judge tie into Jason Garrett, which has been the toughest question these first 19 games of the Joe Judge era, because it'd be one thing if they brought in, a Judge, like someone that, like, okay, Judge hired that guy, but because it's Garrett, because there's only one other person that they were rumored to interview, and that was Brian Dabble, and that got denied, so Jason Garrett was the only one that was, like, reported that he interviewed. Now, it could have been others, but obviously everyone has their talking points that it was Mara. And Joe Judge was asked, and Zach Rosenblatt asked him a good question on Monday's presser of, like, why do you think Jason Garrett's doing a good job and is like the man for the job, Basically, it's like, well, tell us why you like Jason Garrett. And he didn't answer that.
No, he didn't.
He just said we're going to get better and we're not going to make any I wrote radical changes. Like, that's not, and I even asked Zach, I was like, what was his tone? Because I didn't put it on YouTube. And he's like, it was just not an endorsement of Jason Garrett. Like, he totally ignored that. So that kind of gets you back on there, like, where does Joe Judge? And Joe Judge, I know you listen, or I think you listen. Please just tell me. I want to know so bad what Joe Judge thinks of him, because I want to, no pun intended, but I want to judge Joe Judge on the offense. But here's where we're at. I am blaming Joe Judge for the offense going.
We're being given no choice, know?
Like, the coaches pick their coaches. Maybe Mara has ruined it, but until John Mara comes out and says, like, we did this same conversation with Gettleman and 2018 and stuff. Until John Mara comes out and says that, like, we really influenced him to hire Jason Garrett, and we didn't let him fire Jason Garrett. Until he says that, I have to assume that Joe Judge made the decision to bring back Jason Garrett. Coaches make the decisions on their coaches, so I am blaming Joe Judge for this offensive approach. And it's not like he's, we talk about punts and fourth downs and stuff, and he's like, well, he is very conservative in that approach, like unbelievably conservative. So there's definitely a bunch of things I like about Joe Judge, and obviously people are going to start making jokes about him and stuff, and, like, there's a lot I do like about Joe Judge, and I don't think I'm not going like, oh, he's lying, he's fake. But at the same time, I am going to give him blame for this offense going forward, because until a change is made, we are left with no other choice but to give him just as much blame as Jason Garrett.
Yeah, more than anything that he says, and really even more than the fourth down decisions. More than anything, that is the thing that Joe Judge does deserve blame for. It is keeping this guy around, and what we don't know, and like you literally just said, and I'm going to repeat the same thing. We are being given no choice but to believe that this is what he is choosing to do.
Coming into the season, there was always, like, there is all this evidence that Judge and Graham are close. I mean, from the time in New England, like, there's been stories written about it. Like the shake and bake thing from, them being Patrick Graham being the only coach to go down to them with the Senior Bowl. Patrick Graham being named the assistant head coach. Remember, like, last offseason, people were like, Jason Garrett, he's like, he can, like, he's kind of like that head coach junior there. It's like, well,
if Joe Judge ever gets COVID, then Garrett can take over. It's like, no.
It was an insane tweet. It's like, well, no, they have an assistant head coach, and his name is Patrick Graham. And this is when we didn't know very much about Patrick Graham. And Patrick Graham kind of lives by what Joe Judge says. Patrick Graham makes changes. He tries new things. He tries to adjust. And I'm very proud of the game that Patrick Graham called this past week. Like he made adjustments. He took chances by benching Darnay Holmes for Rodarius Williams because they want to play more man coverage. They talk about want to play man. They really couldn't play man with Darnay. It's something we talked about in his PPP. It's his weakness, which is a bad weakness to have at quarterback. But anyways, and then with Garrett, it's like there's all this evidence that they aren't linked. From the Colombo situation to they don't have any past history with each other, and the fact that judges are kind of like never said anything nice about Jason Garrett, like never. Like if he did, I would remember it because it would stick out in my mind. But there has never been a presser where I've heard Joe Judge talk about Jason Garrett like glowingly. Obviously, he's said good things about him, but you can tell when someone's being real and not. And that exact question kind of says it. So, but at the same time, it's like it's enough. I'm going to judge Joe Judge on the offense going forward.
Yep. You said it on Monday's show too. You can get some brownie points back in our book if you get rid of this guy early in the season. But the more games pass and the more games where the Giants are still below average and bottom quarter in the National Football League and scoring points and points per drive, the more time passes and it's still status quo. Even if they're moving the ball well, right? Which that was my whole thing week 1 and week 2. I'm like, the Giants, they're moving the ball well. And then week 2, they did score 29 points. At the end of the day, the simplest of stats you can evaluate teams with is our offense is scoring points and our defense not, and our defense is, allowing too many points. That's like the simplest of numbers you can get, and Giants certainly aren't scoring enough points. So there you go.
All right, Justin, read the ad.
Oh, read the ad. Read the ad. We got to talk about DraftKings. Week 3 of football is in the books, and it's time to review the tape. We're doing it. We're not happy with what we're seeing. Get ready for Week 4 with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off another action-packed week, DraftKings is giving new customers $150 instantly when they bet $1 on any football game. Listen up because you don't want to miss this. Head to DraftKings Sportsbook app now and place a bet of $1 on any Week 4 game to receive $150 in free bets instantly. If Sportsbook is not available in your state, don't worry. DraftKings still has huge cash prizes up for grabs all season long with their daily fantasy contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. I also want to make clear on our Pick'em episodes, like the picks that I'm most confident in, because I was very confident about Vikings +2, and they won. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code JOHNBOY to receive $150 in free bets when you place $1 bet on any football game. That's promo code JOHNBOY this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 years old in New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or Indiana 109 with it. Next question. Chris Mickle. What do you think about Isaiah Wilson with the sale and Andrew Thomas connections? We love our Georgia Bulldogs.
So we're going to turn this into just a state of the offensive line question.
Sure.
Because there's like 5 different things to talk about. What do you want to... Should we start about Ben Bredeson hurting his hand, according to Jordan Renan?
Yes, we'll start off there. How do you feel about that?
I just think it's funny that Andrew Thomas is going to have his 4th left guard in 4 games with Shane Lemieux, Nick Gates, and then Ben Bredeson, and now whoever is next.
Yeah. Who is next?
I don't know. They signed Wes Martin, who started 10 games for Washington, but wasn't very good. I think his last game he gave up 4 sacks to Aaron Donald. So if there's anyone you give up 4 sacks to, where you're like, maybe it wasn't too bad. He's not too bad. It's Aaron Donald, but still, he was on the Washington practice squad, and their offensive line's not very good. But he's brand new. You would think it's Matt Skura. Do they even think they moved Billy Price to left guard and put Matt Skura at center because Billy Price is stronger and can move guys better in the run game, and Matt Skura is better in the pass pro?
I was thinking Price is more of the athlete, so you want to have Price at guard, and then Skura is just kind of steady.
Yeah. And honestly, they might have made that move anyways because Ben Bredeson has not been good.
No.
And I was never expecting to be a good run blocker.
That
in
was
the past game.
That was a huge sack he allowed. Oh my God, that was a bad sack. I mean, that could have been that drive. They were driving, and that could be the difference between 7 points. And that was a bad sack Bredeson allowed. Yeah.
There's also Forrest Lamp. Apparently he wasn't being signed because he wasn't getting vaccinated, but then he got vaccinated, so he started 16 games for the Chargers. Now, I'm not going to watch his film until the Giants sign him. I just don't So I'm not putting any effort into that and am not signing him. So that could be an option. I don't know. Like, my bet right now would be there's a Skura Price combination on Sunday. And I'm going to say Price at left guard, Skura at center.
Yeah. I mean, it's Wednesday. I don't think Martin's going to come up and start right away. I mean, if that happens and if that's the plan, it's good luck.
Andrew Thomas, my man.
No, Daniel Jones, not even Andrew Thomas. It's just like, oh my God, Daniel Jones, dude, what are we doing to you? And a lot of it's been bad luck. It's funny
DJ's
that
pocket manipulation has been really a nice thing to see.
It's been awesome. It has been really awesome. But it's funny how if there's one position group that we were thinnest at heading into the year was offensive line, where you talk that your whole talking point is that the starting five and the depth in the backup, there's not a lot of space in between them in terms of talent level, and now we're because of bad luck and because of injuries, we're scraping at bottom of the barrel practice squad of other teams, and these guys are literally going to come in here and start, which is bizarre. All right, so that's the guard situation. We don't know, and it's to be determined. Well, hopefully we have it figured out by Friday's show. Now we'll go to right tackle with Isaiah Wilson, former Georgia Bulldog. He was the right tackle when Andrew Thomas was the left tackle at Georgia. He was drafted in the second round to the Titans, but he was
first round, end of the first, like 29th overall.
Right,
I think we talked about him in our draft preview, if you want to go back to our 2020 OT draft preview.
Yeah.
I liked him. Now, he was somebody who I was like, I think he needs some work, but he can move dudes in the run game. And I actually, when I did my 2020 mock draft, I mocked him to the Titans because they lost Jack Conklin. And I was like, it's kind of a perfect fit, where he's this run blocker. He has some issues in the pass game that he needs to clean up. Like a perfect swap there. But man, he has went off the rails got a DUI, just party. At the end of the day, though, I am someone who believes in second, third, fourth, and fifth, and a millionth chances. Give guys chances. So if he's kind of cleaned up his act and wants to work, yeah, it would be a why not. And I do think it's going to happen, by the way. So I am kind of assuming it does happen, and we can talk about it as
for
such.
the Giants.
Yeah, but on the practice squad to start.
Okay.
Now, so if he comes in and he's good, then yeah, I mean, right tackle's a big weakness.
Yeah, I was going to be like, let's be clear. We're talking about right tackle here, not converting to guard.
I would not be against that, even though he's really big for a guard. But his frame would fit better at guard than Matt Peart or Nate Solder's would, basically, though.
Yeah.
And it might be his, like that. I could see that working. Like I can honestly see it like as an Eric Flowers situation, where it's like, he's athletic enough, but he doesn't need to be perfect the way he is. You need to be a tackle. So I would love to take a shot on that, and it would be zero risk. It's like, okay, if he's doesn't have his act straight, you just cut him the way the Miami Dolphins did.
Yeah.
They cut him after like 2 days or whatever. So if he wants, listen, young people change. Especially when they're at that age. And
Yep.
being a first round pick and not having a team wanting to sign you that can be the wake up call you need. So
yeah.
If he's got his act together, yeah, I would love that. And there's a connection. Rob Sale recruited him at Georgia when he was there, and Rob Sale, we've been pretty pleased with what he's done so far as an O-line coach. So yeah, I would love that. Here's also what I'll say is, can we start Matt Peart over Nate Solder? Nate Solder sucks. He's not physically ready. He has mental mistakes that are like huge, like two just totally like unacceptable mental mistakes. Like Andrew Thomas had that mental mistake like once his rookie year, and we lost it on him. Nate Solder shouldn't be having those, and he is bad physically. He is a huge weakness in the run game, and as a pass blocker, he gets beat all the time, and he gets beat ugly too. So it's like, I'm just so done with Nate Solder. Like, please collect your check, sit on the bench. You're not a leader. Like, just let Matt Peart play. Like, the only way Matt Peart will get better is by playing. Offensive linemen aren't going to get better in NFL practices in season. Let Matt Peart play.
Clearly, Nate Solder's weaknesses haven't been... I'm talking pass protection here. Pass protection. Obviously, the run game's been bad, so let's put it on that. And NFL teams like to run to the right side more than the left side anyway, so
even when they run to the left, though, he screws it up.
Yeah, and backside defender comes like a bat out of hell, takes Saquon Barkley down from behind. But let's talk about strictly pass protection here. Because clearly the way that Nate Solder loses, Daniel Jones is able to avoid it.
Yeah, I know.
So
that's the worry with bringing Parrott in.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Does the way that Matt Parrott loses, is that going to hurt Daniel Jones versus the way Nate Solder loses? To be determined.
Yeah, I don't know. It is a to be determined.
Because Jones's pocket awareness has been much better to start these 3 games versus the first 2 seasons. So
yeah, and Mike Lennon was the QB when Matt Parrott played with Jones or with the starting group in preseason. So we haven't seen it. So, but I don't. If it's worse, it can't be much worse. Is basically what I'll say.
Yeah.
So, start Matt Parrott.
And then final note about the offensive line. Billy Price looked much better against inferior competition than Washington, right?
He looked much better than versus Washington, but I don't view him as like, wow, he really improved from week 2 to week 3.
Okay. All right. Didn't get worse, and we'll take that. All right. Mr. Brownstone, he asked, do the Giants sign Jamie Collins to replace Blake Martinez? We didn't really touch on that on Monday's show. I don't think we knew that Blake Martinez tore his ACL till Monday morning. Just saying this because Devonta Freeman and Logan Ryan, LOL. Yeah, I guess they worked, Mr. Brownstone. Talking Giants versus the world, the whole damn world. So, Jamie Collins, is that something that we do?
I would love to. And here's something. We talked, I think you actually had Jamie Collins in your 2020 free agency plan for the Giants.
I did, yeah.
I would use him at edge. I would put him at outside linebacker. I think he'd be a
agree.
perfect fit for that. Like watching Jamie Collins at Detroit, I was like, why don't they put this guy on the edge a little more? Let him use his athleticism.
He's a freak athlete.
Yeah, so it's like we're so weak there, and he could play that position like better than Lorenzo Carter could, and then have him in it and obviously let Lorenzo rotate in. O'Shane's been a 0 to start the season. Let him play, and then obviously get him some inside linebacker reps. Here's the issue though, is that we would have to spend a good amount more money than the Patriots, who will probably sign him, and we are 0-3, and there's no reason for him to come here on a nothing deal.
We also have like around $1 million in cap space.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to get him for that's okay. Yeah, exactly. They're not going to give him a decent contract, so it would be on the minimum or close to the minimum. And I don't think he's going to want to pick us over other teams for the minimum.
No.
Like the Dolphins and Patriots will be just as good of fits for him, and I think he can view himself like, I go back every time I go to the Patriots, I get a big contract because I fit in perfectly there. So I would love it. I just don't see it happening. Can we talk Blake? Man, that sucks. Like you said, we didn't talk about it. It didn't hit me. Like I don't know. Like for some reason, it didn't get really talked about that night, and we were so down the dumps, and there were so many bad things to talk about, that it did not hit me that Blake Martinez until Monday night kind of hit me like, damn, like that sucks. You always feel bad for him. I view him as the leader of the defense.
Yeah.
I know people look at Logan Ryan or even Pep. I viewed Blake as that leader. He lines everything up. So they're going to miss him, man. They really will. But I will say the Giants have good inside linebacker depth for the first time in a long time. Tay Crowder looked really good in that role. Like Tay Crowder played a good game on Sunday. Ragland kind of fits in that role, and they are even giving, Carter Coughlin will get a chunk of reps, and they've used him a little bit as a pass rusher. He didn't have any like wow plays that he had in preseason, but there were times where it's like, okay, this is why you put him in the A gap. So those 3 guys, and then Justin Hilliard, who they'll sign, probably be the 4th inside linebacker. So like they have good depth at inside linebacker. If there was any defender who was like, we have the depth, it probably would be like Blake, like Bradbury or Adoree going down would be huge. Ryan, Pep, I think would be huge. Pep maybe not as much. We're going to talk about him in a question later. So yeah, but it sucks. I can't wait to see him come back, because I know he's going to. There's one guy who's all about ball. He's going to work his ass off and come back.
Dude went through some back injuries last year and just never came off the field. I mean, he would come off the field for a snap or 2, and then he'd be back in, and So the reason why I feel like we didn't even talk about it. We didn't even reference it, because at least, from what I saw, yeah, he went down, got up. It's never good when you have the trainers that are basically carrying you to the sideline, but still, it wasn't a cart situation. So I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Even if we lose Blake Martinez for a few weeks, he'll be back. He's the Rock.
Yeah, that's
He's
the way
the dude.
I was too. That's what I thought too.
You just took you took him for granted. I mean, I took him for granted. I think we all did take him for granted. So he'll be back, rooting for him. ACLs suck. So hopefully he's back to start the season, and hopefully there's not this whole Ryan Conley situation of, oh, he's not fully healthy and he's not fully back.
Yeah, maybe we'll cut him.
Yeah, maybe we will. So it sucks, but trust Patrick Graham that this will survive. All right. Next question also comes from Mr. Brownstone. Are Jason Garrett and Dave Gettleman Corey and Trevor?
No, Jason Garrett is Mr. Leahy, because every once in a while you'll think he's back on your side, and then it's like, nope, why would you ever trust him? And I'm like, I'm usually like Ricky, but I'm like Julian in this. It's like, don't let him trick you. It's like he's always got something up his sleeve to screw you, and that's what Jason Garrett is. All right, next question.
I agree with everything you just said. Smoking Woody. Can we burn down MetLife? Also, please start smoking cigarettes or pay the consequences. I have recently started smoking mini cigars that are the size of cigarettes.
Yeah,
but they also...
I think that got us demonetized, by the way, on Sunday.
Really?
Yeah, I was looking at it, and it was like, it said like limited. So it's basically like these people are smoking on camera because they look like you're smoking a blunt. So stop smoking cigarillos. That's disgusting. 2, it's a shame that Smokin' Woody, who's a great listener, had to ask this question. I feel like some of our other listeners should have asked this question, but it is what it is. I'm kind of serious. Like, I kind of want the stadium to be burnt down. Like, I was on an Instagram Live with the LPG earlier. I was like, come on, dude, help me burn down the stadium. Like, let's burn down MetLife.
He must
or
have
at least
loved that.
loot or something. Like, next time you're there, it's the 10-year anniversary of the Super Bowl 46 team versus the Rams, so we're going to get killed. Like, I don't know. Like just, have the mob mentality. It's like they can't stop all of us, and just destroy the entire stadium.
What I would love, you don't understand.
And spray paint, fire Jason Garrett all over the building.
You don't understand
I
this.
want to get arrested for inciting a riot.
You don't understand this because you don't go to Giants games. But what I would love is if we just absolutely just throw away the barricades that are in front of the second escalator that they have blocked off on the escalators that go down from section 300 to 200, then 200 to 100. So there's 2 escalators. Up and down, that's how it goes. They're both going down after the game. But then the security blocks off one of them after the game. And I can't tell you the thing that pisses me most off in the world. After you're walking out of a game that you lost and you got your teeth kicked in, to have that ineptitude of crowd control happening.
Yeah,
That's
burn down the stadium. Burn down the stadium. I would like to make shirts for that, but I guarantee you John Boy Media wouldn't let us.
No, wouldn't
We don't want
go
to ruin
over well.
connections. It's like, screw connections. Let's burn down the stadium. Like let's burn it down. I'm not kidding when I say I want to see the stadium burnt down. So remember, there's a picture I have that has to do with something burning down, Justin. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Our Patreon Twitter. I thought about saying, it's saying, posting that and being like, make sure to put some stickers on the rubble when we burn this down. Burn the stadium down. Can I post that now?
No.
No. All right.
I wouldn't.
So you may not be able to burn the stadium down, but you can play some Match 5 trivia.
Ooh.
A simple game of matching answers to trivial questions. It comes with 320 game cards with many different topics, so it's fun for anyone and everyone. Like the smartest people in the world, the dumbest people in the world like this stuff. Some of the cards have sports-oriented questions, like name the best 5 pitchers of all time. It's basically you form teams, but it kind of reminds me of like a show that Steve Harvey's on a little bit. This game creates fun discussion and friendly disagreements. It only takes 3 to play, and there is no limit. Save 15% off your order now when you use the coupon code JOHNBOY. Get your copy of Match 5 Trivia game by going to match5trivia.com and save 15% by entering code JOHNBOY. So yeah, I mean, it's legit. Like it's a fun game, and I'm not really like into like, oh, let's play a game, when I go and hang out with people. But like they sent it to us and I brought it over, and then I found us like we just got stuck playing it for a while. So play some freaking Match 5 Trivia and then use matches to burn down MetLife Stadium.
Boom.
Next question.
Got a series of 3 questions, and oh boy, we're in week 4 and we're talking about trading away our best players. What is the trade value of Evan Ingram? Maybe not our best player. This is coming from Benjamin at B. Scolo. What is the trade value of Evan Ingram? Do we ask for picks, O-line depth, or linebacker depth in the wake of Blake injury? Enter name here and enter name here 33. Of the following players, who's on your trade and trade not list. James Bradbury, Logan Ryan, Jabril Peppers, Dexter Lawrence, Sterling Shepard, Saquon Barkley, Evan Ingram. And then Tucker Cherry at Tucker_Cherry_ asks mailbag questions. What is Saquon's trade value? Don't really want us trading him, but at this point, it's better to trade him instead of pay him. And then we already talked about Jamie Collins. So let's go through enter name here in his list of those players. So let's start off with James Bradbury.
No.
Trade or trade not. You say trade not. I also say do not trade.
James Bradbury is part of the future. I love James Bradbury. Do not trade James Bradbury.
I agree. Logan Ryan.
No. He's a big part of this team. He's been playing well. You know, I know he had some plays that he could have made, but like he plays that free safety role really well, and he's gotten better at it. And that's something we talked about coming into the season. Like, can Logan Ryan get better? I know he's getting older, but he's at a new position. Like, he looks better at that free safety role, and they're asking more of him from it too. So, no.
Devin McCourty is still playing in the National Football League, and literally when I was in the 7th grade, I'm 2 years out of college now. And when I was in the 7th grade, Devin McCourty was a rookie in the NFL, and he is still playing and is doing somewhat well. So Logan Ryan could be here for a little while longer, and he is having a good year. He's just got to come down with those stupid interceptions. Jabril Peppers, I say yes.
Me too, man. And I love Jabril. And I think Jabril hate is super corny. I think it has more to do with people's like missing Odell than anything. Like we went through it, and the on his PPP had the most pass breakups of any strong safety last year. Was top 5 in tackles for a loss for safeties. You can use them in all types of different ways. And here's the issue is that like people don't watch safety play around the league. You put a safety on man coverage versus tight ends, and especially athletic ones like Noah Fant and Kyle Pitts, and they're going to get beat on plays. Like it just happens. Like it's an offensive league, and putting any safety, unless they are like, a convert from corner, like it's a losing battle. It's usually going to be a losing battle. And Peppers is good, but they are using him less. They're using McKinney more, so they're not gonna extend him. Well, I don't think Dave Gettleman has plans to, and I don't think a new GM would, because they spent money on Logan Ryan. They they drafted Xavier McKinney. So yeah, if they're not gonna, if you don't use it, lose it. So yeah, and I love Peppers. He's my favorite player on that defense, but. Yeah, it wouldn't make sense to let him walk, and I don't think we'll get any like comp. I don't think we'll get like a 3rd round comp pick, like we got a 3rd round comp from Landon Collins.
No. The NFL learned to. Landon Collins was the last safety where it's like, okay, don't overpay for a safety that you don't necessarily know what you're getting. He was like the last example of that. And also,
I just want to say Jabril Peppers is a lot better than Landon Collins. I just want.
He is.
I know Peppers slander has been getting around, and I just want to know my position, as I still love Pep.
It's passing league, and great. Landon Collins can come up and play the run, but if you're allowing a 30-yard pass play, and that's bad. So you were talking about a safety who's like a converted corner, and you want to know who that safety that's a converted corner on the Giants? Julian Love. Julian Love can get 65% of the snaps. And I can be fine with that. And that's basically what Jabril Peppers is getting right now. All right, next guy that entered name here said Dexter Lawrence. You're not trading Dexter Lawrence. Nope. Rough start. Just got I believe, either his first QB hit or his first QB pressure this past week. But you got to trust that the dude's going to get it together. Sterling Shepard. I'm going to let you go first on this.
No. If we believe Kadarius Toney was going to come in and fill it, yeah, or you would think about it. But no, like Sterling Shepard, if he misses games, we're going to seriously miss that dude. Like I said, he's hiding blemishes of this offense. This offense, who's already not good, is going to miss Sterling Shepard sorely. So no, I'm not. If you would ask me in the offseason, I might have said yeah. Now I am absolutely not. Yeah. Do not trade Sterling Shepard.
Wow, remember when we had a discussion over the offseason about who was the more important player? Sterling Shepard or Darius Slayton?
It was who should we invest more in going forward, and whatever.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm wrong one time in 3 years. It's the only time I've been wrong. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I was excited about the Giants' offense.
Speaking of things that me and you like vehemently disagree on, did you see Golden Tate on Good Morning Football? He sounded like an idiot. Yeah, he was like stuttering. He rode the fence on everything. Dude, you better hope someone signs you, because you're not going to be good at media, Golden Tate. That was horrible. I was like, dude, like, say something. Like, spit it out. Like, he looked unbelievably nervous. Maybe now, here, I'll give Golden Tate a little credit. having that camera on you being in person is a little awkward. I might know from experience from when I went to the Bronx and I hated every living second of it, and it changed my demeanor.
That was pretty good.
You know, not a good start.
Golden Tate was pretty confident when he was sleeping with his teammate's wife. So
All right, don't leave Golden Tate alone. All right, who's next on the list?
Saquon Barkley.
Yes and no. It's like, what do you get from him? Like right now, his stock is at an all-time low. You know. So I'll say yeah. If you can get something that's decent out of him, and a team would like acting like you wouldn't get like a decent haul from him, I think is crazy. Yeah, I would. I'm kind of like my stock is going lower and lower and lower on Saquon, and not just because of his position, but by the way he plays.
Yeah,
that toss play on Sunday should have maybe won the game, and he just stopped. You know, I go check out the film review. I talked about it.
I adamantly would trade him, but it's not going to happen. Evan Ingram, final guy.
Yes, I would trade him for anything I want. When they signed Kyle Rudolph, I was like, why are they not? I've been. It's time to move on. He can go if he goes somewhere else and plays well. I promise you, I will not do the like. Oh my gosh, we couldn't use him. Like, good for you. It's time to move on. You do too many things bad, and the things you do good aren't good enough.
I have a feeling Evan Ingram is one of these players that we're going to trade him, and another fan base will be excited for him because like.
Because you forget about the drops. It's like when we signed John Ross, and it's like, look at all the speed and stuff, but it's like, also, he drops the ball a ton.
Well, no, I was even going to say, like, I think two former Bengals guys. When we signed John Ross, I think a lot of Bengals fans were like, oh, thank God he's not on the team, but we were excited. And when we traded for Billy Price, we're like, oh, yeah, we got this former first-round pick, and he's athletic, he has high upside, and then Bengals fans were like, oh, thank God you traded for him. So I have a feeling that Evan Ingram's trade value isn't as low as Giants fans think because Evan Ingram may not have this reputation across the National Football League that Giants fans give him.
They don't. Watching a game on TV, on all 22, watching film the way front offices do, and being a fan and being invested is totally different. It's like those drops, they don't feel as big when you're watching. Like, and that's why sometimes, like, when we're watching college teams, like, or draft prospects, sometimes I'm like, let me watch a game of him from the TV copy, because it's like you don't get the feel like on the O-Line report I put a play in there and I was like, this is a really good run screenplay, and then I remembered, I was like, oh crap, that was a illegal man downfield by Will Hernandez, so I just put in a screenplay that was a penalty and was like, good job, and it was like, well, actually it was a really bad job, it was a penalty.
Does Kyle Rudolph exist? Is he on this football team?
He has been blocking well, but
$10 million blocking tight end?
No, Caden Smith should be the starting tight end, and we should have not signed Kyle Rudolph in free agency. Especially when you kept Ingram. Like, that may be the... I know people are complaining about a lot of different things, like Leonard Williams and stuff. That is the one I will look back at and be like, that was bad management. Was
I think
Rudolph.
that might be the nail in the coffin for Gettleman. All right, next question is from Tim Coffey. Do you think it's likely that if Gettleman goes, that they give the reins to Judge and Abrams? I also want to go back to a question we didn't touch on before. So if Gettleman goes, do they give the reins to Judge Abrams? And do we think it's possible that Judge stays even if Gettleman and like Garrett goes?
I think that might be a next question. But yeah, let's talk about... We'll look at the next question because I think that might have... But here's the thing with Abrams. If this team went 8-9, 9-8, I can see them doing that. But there's no way they're going to stay in-house for Kevin Abrams with the way this season looks like it's going to go. There's no way they could sell that to the fan base. Like, I know we hate John Mara, but he knows that he could not sell that to the fan base. And the issue with John Mara is he makes a ton of mistakes, but I also do think I think he slowly learns from his mistakes, and I think he'll realize this time to not go in-house and do the Ernie Accorsi and hire Dave Gettleman, who was part of, like, I do think whatever happens next will be someone outside the box. It may not work, but I think it will be outside the box.
I hope. I don't even know what my expectation is. I don't even know because John Mara hasn't earned the right for me to say, yeah, he is going to go outside. He hasn't earned that right for me yet. Because it was so clear it was so clear after Jerry Reese that that's what we needed to do. It was very clear. It was very clear that after years of losing after Reese, besides 1 year, and then why firing Reese was so bad is because we spent all that money, and it's so funny how 2017 is very familiar to this year. We'll see how it finishes. But it was so bad that we gave Reese that second chance after Coughlin to, excuse my French, fuck us cap-wise for years to come. John Mayer hasn't earned that right, because right now the same exact thing has happened. He allowed it to happen twice. He allowed what happened with Jerry Reese and Ben McAdoo. He allowed it to happen twice.
I just don't think he will ever try. I don't think he'll ever try and sell us on Kevin Abrams.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't believe it. If that happens, I will be shocked. Is basically where I'm at. Next question.
All right, next question. Got two together. So Gazman superstar. If Daniel Jones keeps being good, do the Giants stick with Jason Garrett? Seems the perfect excuse for Mara to keep his redheaded stepchild. And do you have a name in mind for the next GM? Either of you who would like, or who do you think it would be? Hashtag Talking Giants versus the world. And then Ryan Cuneo, is a scenario where the Giants are bad enough to get Gettleman fired, yet Daniel Jones is good enough to stay on as the starter for next year, even possible? How realistic is it?
Jones is playing well. I was ready to be willing to move off of Jones, and everyone knows I've been a Jones supporter. Like I was ready for, like, if they repeated last season and I was ready to move on. But I was like, I believe in this guy, and I think year 3 you're going to see some with new weapons. You can see some different things. Now I think he's just gotten better, even though the weapons haven't been used properly. So yes, and paired with this QB class doesn't look great. But here's what I'll say is I just want the new GM to do what he wants. I don't want there to be any precursor, and that's my big worry with John Mara. Not bringing in Kevin Abrams. It's bringing in someone who says, like, oh yeah, I definitely want to bring Joe Judge back, and I definitely want Daniel Jones as my QB. I just want the best man for the job. I still like Joe Judge, but I'm not like being like, we got to keep Joe Judge going forward. And if they want to, like, hell, even if it's a weak QB class and there's not a QB they believe in, there could be some type of free agency rumblings with Aaron Rodgers or whatever. That could be something they could explore. But as of now, like, I definitely think it's possible, and honestly, I think it's likely
that Jones stays. And
like new GM Daniel Jones is still the QB next year. Even if the new guy doesn't believe him a ton, you can kind of follow the Tampa Bay model as, like, build your team, and then when it's ready for a QB, the Jets just put Zach Wilson in. Like, Zach Wilson looks horrible because he's in a horrible situation. Now, he may suck in general, but it's like he's in a horrible situation right now. It's like so I don't want to do that to a new QB. So it's like you can even just be like, even if you don't believe in Jones, which I do, like, it's bringing him back for year 4 is not the end of the world. Now, you don't want to give him the 5th-year extension if you don't believe in him. But bringing him back for year 4, I think that's likely.
Yeah, Daniel Jones has put the Giants in, I think, actually a good situation where you have the draft picks of this upcoming year, so you can do whatever you want there, but then you don't have to force a quarterback, where a lot of teams like to force a quarterback. And if there is one thing that is true that I will say about the 2018 draft and the 2019 draft and the way that it played out, the Giants got their guy, who they wanted. Well, technically, I guess they really wanted Herbert, and that didn't happen. But they got their guy. They got their guy that they wanted, and it wasn't the favorite pick. It wasn't the popular pick, and it also wasn't a forced pick. They didn't have to pick him, but they did because they wanted to. And that's the situation that I want when you're picking a possible franchise quarterback, or if you want to pick a quarterback. I want you to not force yourself to pick him because you have to. I wanted to pick him because you want to, because that guy's really valuable.
And that's where I disagree with some people about 2018, because it's like, okay, do I agree with, like, we shouldn't have taken Saquon? Absolutely. But I also don't agree with, like, you could have just, like, taking a QB would have been better. It's like, no, like, I don't believe in taking a QB because you need a QB. I believe in, especially when you're in the top of the draft, because you can get game-changing, players. I mean, think about if they added Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau or Aiden Hutchinson, like a tackle and an edge. It's like, okay, like, don't force QB picks is basically what I'm saying. And I think Daniel Jones has played good, so there's no reason, right now to be like Like if it was a carbon copy of last year's 3 games, then I would be talking about QBs from the draft a little more. But as of now, no.
Yeah, Giants don't have Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback, so you don't have to force a quarterback. They have Daniel Jones, who's looked decent enough. So all right. So next question from Tauzino, Red Yeti 9. How are you both? Really? How are you? I fear that covering this team full time would have me pretty close to the edge of the bridge with Gordy, which I hope Gordy's okay. I
checked our voicemails today because we're not doing voicemails because Eric said he left one and Gordy hadn't left any. So Gordy, reach out. Man, it does suck covering a team that sucks. Like we are making like we're gonna keep this podcast interesting, and we always. We keep it fun and we'll do our best to keep you in more than any other podcast will. Like our dedication will not stop. But it's like, man, like I want them to win so freaking bad. It's like this sucks. Like I hate talking about losing. Wasn't there a question about tanking, which kind of plays into it a little bit?
Yeah, I don't think I skipped it. No, it's just not on here. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that later.
That can be next week.
The thing that's gonna suck about these mailbags is that we're getting questions week 4 that we should be getting week 12. So it's just gonna be the same questions every week of, do you trade Saquon? When's Ingram gonna be traded? When's Garrett gonna be fired? When's Gettleman gonna be fired? What do you want to do for the draft? Which we'll I'm doing okay. Here, I'll answer Tauzino's question first. I'm doing okay.
These losses break me every time.
I'm motivated by the grind to work hard and to get better. Really, the Giants aren't motivating me. If they won, I'd be motivated to get the video done, to get this done. But I'm motivated right now, like really on a real note, motivated right now that the company, John Boy Media, is investing in us. They're investing in their football coverage, and I'm grinding to get that done. I'm not doing it because the Giants are good. So that's where I'm at right now. I want to work. Like it's the month of September.
I want to burn down MetLife Stadium.
September's not even over, and we're talking about the Giants season being over, but the work is like just getting started, which sucks. All right, so the next question, Jack.
It's going to be a fun offseason with 2 draft picks.
I was talking about that with my father was asking me today. We were just talking about he was asking about like the business side of things and, growth and, exponential growth and stuff like that. It's like, the Giants not winning means that we're going to grow, but we're not going to grow as exponentially. But I did say, well, you have to look at it this way too. With the new GM, possibly a new coach, and then 2 first-round draft picks, you look at it as the offseason is going to be insane. Versus last
offseason was very boring.
It was very hyper centered in the month of March and April. The 1 week in March and then the 2-3 weeks in April.
But it's like those weeks are always the same. So anyways, next question.
Jack,
we're fine.
Jack Salazzoni at Jack Salazzoni. Personally, for both of you at this point, with the 0-3 record, what would you prefer? Oh, this is the tanking question. That we lose for the rest of the season and try to draft Evan Neal or Kayvon Thibodeau, or would you rather the Giants try and stay competitive and win games? I think I'm at a point.
I want players to play good and win games.
Yeah, I'm at a point now where I'm no longer like in that 2019. I'm a college student where I'm emotional. Like I'm still emotional, but f this, f that, f this player, f that. I want the Giants to go out there and win football games.
I want to see the players on this team play good, which leads to wins, and they can't play good and lose. So
now that's as of right now. I mean, if we're talking about week 12, week 13, week 14, my rooting interests have no control on the Giants. But right now we're in week 4 and we're 0-3, and we just invested so much in this football team. I want them to go out there and win football games. So talk to me in week 13, week 14, when the draft odds are a little bit more clear. But I'll tell you what, Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau sound pretty darn good to me.
God, that'd be fun.
Hopefully
they play each other in the playoff. That would be awesome. Alabama versus Oregon in the playoff. Get Kayvon Thibodeau versus Evan Neal. All right, next question.
That's a film breakdown. Eric Perlberg, would you trade Evan Ingram for Ben Simmons? No.
Yes, Ben Simmons. By the way, like you're still a loser. We haven't forgot. All right, next question.
Lemon at JLemon66. This is the last question. What Jameis Winston are we going to see this week?
We will answer that question on Friday for our Saints preview. And honestly, that's my hope that we can win the game, is because Jameis is still Jameis. So we appreciate you guys. We'll see you on Friday. We'll have Danny back on. We'll have an interview. One of the Saints players, I think his name was, or old Saints players, Terrence Cooper, I think his name is. So we'll have that all out for you on Friday. Watch all of our other content, O-line report, stat report, film review. See you guys on the next one. Until then, let's go Big Blue.